Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praise for Allah, Lord of the worlds, and peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad, his companions, and all those who strive to follow in their footsteps. Welcome, my dear viewers, brothers and sisters, to another episode of Quran and Science. And in this edition, we'll be speaking about the main sequence of stars and also the temperature of these stars and the different types of stars. For this, we have with us a professor of geology at many Arab and international universities, Dr. Professor Zaghloul Naggar. Hello and welcome. And we have with us also our guests to be interacting within this episode. We have Zabihullah Kareem.
Thank
Assalamu
you.
alaikum. We have also Abdurrahman Ismail. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Professor Zaghloul, at the beginning, I'll just go for a verse, for a very short break for a verse, and then we'll return back to be explaining more to our viewers about this verse. So stay tuned and we'll be back.
فلا أقسم بمواقع النجوم وإنه لقسم لو تعلمون عظيم.
I swear by the setting of the stars, and this is a great oath if you but knew.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back. You're watching Quran and Science, and we were just discussing the sequence of stars. And the previous segment we mentioned that we'll be knowing more about the verse that you've just seen on the screen. I want first to ask Zabihullah, what do you get out of this ayah, فَلَا أُقْسِمْ بِمَوَاقِعِ النُّجُومِ?
فلا أقسم بمواقع النجوم. In this verse, have we think about it that God said that I don't need to swear on the location and the places of the stars.
Yes.
So
What does it give you? Does it give you the meaning of maybe power, the meaning of imagining something about the stars and the positions?
yes, and the position of stars, and in the same time, the power of Almighty Allah, who is the creator of all this universe.
Great. What about you, Abdurrahman?
As Zabihullah has mentioned, Allah does not need to swear to anyone. And after this ayah, we can notice that Allah said, this is a great oath. This tells us that the setting of the stars is really miraculous and that there is something very special about them.
Yes. Okay, moving to you, Professor Zaghloul, the importance of the sequence and the positions of stars.
I begin by thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and greeting you all in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, blessings, and mercy be with you all. This verse is really unique in the Quran. Allah is saying, I do not even give an oath by the positioning of stars. And then he adds, وَإِنَّهُ لَقَسَمٌ لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عَظِيمٌ. And really, verily, it is an adjuration, an oath, that's a great oath if you were only to know. Then when we read this, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the oath by the positioning of stars and not by stars themselves? Stars themselves are among the most magnificent creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because every star is a huge nuclear reactor in the sky, wherein a process called the nuclear fusion is taking place. By nuclear fusion, Allah is fusing light elements to produce heavier elements. So these are factories producing, all the stars, producing the needed elements for the existence of that universe. In the sun, for example, we get hydrogen fuses together to produce helium, and energy is released. Helium fuses together to produce lithium, and energy is released. And this energy gives the core of the sun 15 million degrees centigrade, and the outer surface of the sun 6,000 degrees centigrade, and the emanations from the sun 1 to 2 million degrees centigrade. And this energy is needed for the existence of that universe. Why then Allah did not give the oath by the stars themselves?
Yes, and
And
not
give oath by the
sequence
positioning
or
of the
positioning,
stars.
yes.
Before I indulge into that, I would like to emphasize the fact that negating the oath in Arabic is a way of overemphasizing it. When we say لا أقسم فلا أقسم بمواقع, I do not even give an oath. There's something beyond giving an oath, something much greater than giving an oath. So negating the oath is an overemphasis of the importance of the oath. فلا أقسم بمواقع النجوم. We have the fa, lam, the negation, لا أقسم, and then the qasam itself, the oath, and then again وإنه.
So it's a very strong and powerful verse.
Great emphasis, you see.
Yes.
Only very recently we came to realize that the distances of stars from the earth are so immense that no man or nobody living on that earth can see stars.
Yes.
We don't see stars. We see positions through which stars have passed. Take simply the sun. The sun is at a distance from the earth on the average that is equal to 150 million kilometers. When light is emanated from the sun, it reaches the earth after 8.3 minutes. And the sun revolves in its orbit. So it would have left that position by thousands of kilometers.
So you never see it at the specific time.
You never see the sun,
see.
you see. And this is the nearest star to us.
Mm-hmm.
The next star to us is at a distance of 4.3 light years. And this means that if the light is emitted from it, it will reach the earth after more than 50 months. And the sun would have been departed for millions of kilometers. So being on that planet, you can never see stars. You can only see positions by which stars have passed. And
this is a very important point, Professor. I just want to make it clear to the viewers.
Yes.
What you're saying about the sun, that you're seeing the light, or the light reaches after 8.3 minutes
Yes.
from the time that
Yes.
emits the rays.
Yes.
So this means that at any point in time that you're looking at the sun, you're actually looking at the position.
Yes.
You're not looking at the sun.
Yes, yes. Actually, and this is a great mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because if a human being looks at a star directly, he would lose his eyesight.
Yes.
This is a great mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why this is the very precise scientific notion in this verse, that anybody on the surface of that planet cannot see stars directly. He can only see positions through which stars have passed. And this is a scientific notion that came to our knowledge only very recently. Who would have told the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam about it 14 centuries ago, other than the Creator himself?
So this brings us to a point, Professor Zaghloul, that in the previous edition we were speaking about the boundaries or the methodologies of thinking, maybe
Yes.
and with relation to science.
Yes.
So I think this is a very good example of helping scientists to be directed towards thinking or using some sort of methodologies in thinking when it comes to space and
Yes.
astronomy in an easier way.
Indeed. And at the same time, we are directing commentators on the Quran not to restrict themselves to the linguistic meaning of the verse, but to add the scientific dimension so that we can understand the verse in a better way and can prove the precedence of the Quran by mentioning this fact several centuries before man knew anything about it. And this can testify to every rational person that the Quran cannot be the work of man. It has to be the word of the Creator in its divine purity. And this is again a living testimony to the correct prophethood of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
If we go back to the second part of the verse.
Before we go to the second verse.
No, the second part of the verse.
Yes, second part of that. I would like also this fact that you cannot see the stars. This implies the vastness of the universe. You see, because the universe is vast, is immense. You see, the stars are too far away from us. We cannot see it. So it implies the greatness of the universe as far as space would go. It also implies the antiquity of the universe, because space and time are interrelated. And if something is too far away from you, It must be too much older than you think. And the more it's further from you, the much older it must be. So this verse also implies the vastness of the universe and the antiquity of the universe, which have been only very recently proved by astronomers.
Yes. Doctor, exploring the moon and trying to know more about the planets and the stars
Yes.
that is existing in the universe, is that something that would take human to a different level of science, maybe help humanity in some sort? Because people are definitely using their imaginations towards this side.
True, but again, you see, this is an area where the Quran is continuously pushing people to look into it, because knowing the universe reflects on some of the faculties of your Creator. The greatness of the universe reflects on the greatness of the Creator. The precision of everything in that universe reflects on the knowledge and wisdom of the Creator. The control above everything in that universe. There is no randomness in that universe. Everything is running according to very precise laws. And this reflects again on the knowledge, wisdom, might, and power of the Creator.
Okay, before we go to a break, I just want to know a brief answer for you for the stressing on the second part of the verse, وَإِنَّهُ لَقَسَمْ لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عَظِيمٌ.
Yes.
So is this stressing and emphasizing the power and the greatness of
Yes, yes, it's addressing, actually directing man to look into the universe, so that this looking with a scientific approach can testify to man, first of all, that this universe cannot be produced as a product of randomness and chaos. It cannot have created itself by itself. It needs a creator. And this creator must be much greater than this universe. This creator must be above the universe. Neither matter nor energy can shape his identity. Neither space nor time can delimit that identity. And even astronomers of today admit that this vast, immense, orderly universe must have a point of reference outside it. And that point of reference has to be completely different in its nature from everything that is within that universe. And that's exactly what the Quran says about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. Nothing of his creation looks like him, and he is the most powerful in hearing, the most powerful in knowledge.
Okay, we'll go for a short break, and we will provide you with this verse, and we will return back, so stay tuned.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose whom He wills subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy, for His messengership, for the revelation to be revealed. This is not for the human beings to make that decision. If a person would turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, truthfully, asking for forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to forgive. We have as Muslims a duty, and that is to recite the book of Allah, to ponder over the verses, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to act according to the Quran. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything, but who would this mercy will be for? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to all mankind. So the ummah, or the people of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are all mankind since the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam till the day of judgment. Why waste our life without getting to know every verse in the Quran, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back. You're watching Quran and Science. And before we move to the second verse, وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقِ, I would like to ask if Zabihullah, you have any questions regarding the first verse?
Yes, I have a question. Professor, I just want to know how these stars came to order in a very organized way.
You see, the process of creation of the universe is a very elaborate process. And all what we know is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created everything from a single point, which they call the initial singularity. And we came to understand this from the fact that it has been proved that our universe is steadily expanding. And if we go back against time, this expansion will coalesce. Everything in that universe will come together into a tiny little point that almost comes to nothingness, you see. And from this, they say the universe was created by the Big Bang. And this point exploded and of course changed into a cloud of smoke. And from that smoke, Allah has created the earth and everything in that universe. The stars, the galaxies, the constellations, the moons, the planets, everything was created from that smoke. And we believe in that because in the Quran, we have clear-cut notions for the creation from smoke, the fact that the universe is expanding, the fact that the universe was an initial singularity which Allah has broken asunder. We read ثم استوى إلى السماء وهي دخان, or before that والسماء بنيناها بأيد وإنا لموسعون, and the firmament we have built with might, and verily who have made it that vast will be steadily expanding it. And the expansion of the universe was discovered at the beginning of the 20th century. For the Quran to spell it out 14 centuries ago is a miracle by itself. Then we read ثم استوى إلى السماء وهي دخان. Then Allah established himself in a way that suits his glory on the firmament when it was all as smoke. And from that smoke, he has created the earth and everything else. ثم استوى إلى السماء وهي دخان فقال لها وللأرض ائتيا طوعا أو كرها قالتا أتينا طائعين. Allah ordered things be, and it was. And then we read أولم يرى الذين كفروا أن السماوات والأرض كانتا رتقا ففتقناهما وجعلنا من الماء كل شيء حي. Having the unbelievers seen that both the firmament and the earth were a single entity, and then we broke them asunder. So we believe in the Big Bang theory or something like it, because this is very clearly spelled out in the glorious Quran.
Okay, Professor, discussing the Big Bang theory. So those non-believers don't think that what was before the Big Bang explosion, because sure there was a force that caused this explosion.
Yes. You see, as I said before this episode, a very eminent scholar in our time, Stephen Hawking, said that now we understand that this universe came by an explosion. And he said it is in the inner nature of explosions to scatter things randomly and chaotically. And said for an explosion to build a universe with definite distances, masses, volumes, speed of rotation, this must be very well planned before.
Yes.
And as I said in the previous half of this episode, very eminent scientists in the area of astronomy today say that this vast, immense, orderly universe must have a point of reference outside it. And that point of reference is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this point of reference must be completely different from the creation. Neither space nor time can shape his identity, neither matter nor energy, neither space nor time can delimit his identity, and neither matter and energy can shape that identity.
So basically, Dr. Zaghloul, it's the force of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which is the main cause.
Indeed. Indeed, Allah is governing that universe and governing every bit in it, every movement in it, every spin in it. Allah is governing it.
So still those who are unbelieved or don't believe in God, those are admit this fact?
You see, there is a big difference between knowledge and guidance. You may have knowledge, but if you don't have the guidance, it will never lead you anywhere. We have very many eminent scholars in the West who are agnostics or atheists or unbelievers, you see. And we as Muslims did not play our role properly in bringing to their notice or their attention to these scientific notions in the glorious Quran. And I do hope that such programs can reach the notice of many non-believers, and may Allah give them guidance, inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay, moving to you, Abdurrahman.
Given the fact that there is a lack of gravity in space, I wonder what keeps a star in its place, or what keeps it in its orbit.
Can you
in an
raise your
order.
voice a little bit? Yeah.
So the question is the position of the stars with no gravity. What maintains the positions and the sequence?
No, actually,
of,
gravity is one of the forces that controls the relationship between these bodies, you see. Gravity is, of course, we have four main forces in the universe. The weak nuclear force that binds elementary particles in the nuclei of elements. We have this is a strong nuclear force. Then we have the weak nuclear force that binds electrons to the nucleus. We have the electromagnetic force that binds atoms together in a molecule and in compounds in general. And then we have the gravity that binds these heavenly bodies together. And without these forces, this universe would collapse.
So there is gravity in space.
There is gravity, yes, yes.
And what causes gravity? Do we have a core for universe that pulls everything around it?
Wallahi, nobody knows exactly what creates gravity. It's a power which Allah has placed in that universe, because without this power, this universe could not stand.
Okay, I have a little question.
Yes.
Does every star have to have a planet or a galaxy or?
You see, every star has got satellites, like our sun. Our sun has got planets, moons, meteors, meteorites, comets, and you name it, you see, within our own solar system, you see. So we assume that every star has got its own satellites in exactly the same way our sun has got its own satellites.
Okay. Any further questions before we move to the second verse?
Another small question. What makes a star a star? Is it the composition, the structure, or the size?
Stars are mainly composed of clouds of smoke. And there are vertigos that would created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within this smoke cloud. And as a result of the tremendous pressure created within the cloud, the process of nuclear fusion will start. And once you start a process of nuclear fusion in a gaseous body, it becomes a star.
Okay. Let's now move to the second verse and
Yes.
second ayah, وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقِ. The importance of this ayah, and why is it there is so much emphasis on الطارق.
والسماء والطارق وما أدراك ما الطارق النجم الثاقب.
By the heaven and at Tariq. And what will explain to you what is at Tariq? It is the star of piercing brightness.
You see, again, this is a form of an oath by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as I said earlier, Allah is above giving an oath to us. Who are we that Allah would give us an oath? But when a Quranic verse comes in the context of an oath, this is a way of directing our attention to the importance of the matter by which the oath is given.
Yes.
You human beings look at this matter because it's very important for your existence. So when Allah gives an oath by as-sama, the firmament, of course, if we look into the firmament, we can see a beautiful illustration of the might, knowledge, wisdom, and power of the Creator. Not going into that. So as-sama, or the firmament, is worthy of giving an oath by, to direct our attention to its greatness and its importance, its vastness and its orderly arrangement. What tariq? You see, and then the address goes to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَمَا أَدْرَكَ مَا الطَّارِقِ النَّجْمُ الثَّاقِبِ. How could you know الطارق? It is the piercing star. What's a piercing star? Early commentators of the Quran, they said, it's every star. They said it's every star. But the context actually denies that. It must be a very special star, so that Allah would name it At-Tariq. Only very recently we came to realize that stars have got a history of development, like any existing being. They are born, they have a baby stage, a youthful stage, an old age stage, and a moment of dying out. And if you get what we call a normal sequence star, like the sun, it will die out to what we call a red giant. But we have stars much greater in mass than the sun, 10 times the mass of the sun, or 15 times the mass of the sun. These are called supergiants. When you get a supergiant, it will die out as what we call supernova. And the supernova, it's a huge explosion. And as a result of that explosion, matter is condensed at the core of the supernova to a density beyond human imagination. The first stage of this condensation presses matter against each other so that it will change everything into neutrons. And we call this a neutron star. If you press the electrons in the orbit of a nucleus to reach the nucleus, you change everything into neutrality. We call this a neutron star. The neutron star is a small star. It has got a dimension of 18 to 20 kilometers, not more than that. But it has got a density of 1 billion tons for a cubic centimeter. 1 billion tons, 1,000 million tons for a cubic centimeter. If 1 centimeter of that star would fall on the Earth, would destroy the Earth completely. Completely destroy the Earth. So because of this high density, a neutron star revolves around its own axis at a very high speed. And of course, because of its nature, it radiates radio waves. And these radio waves come and knock the atmosphere of the Earth in exactly the same way somebody would be knocking at the door of wood or of steel, whatever you call it. And that's why Allah called it a-tariq. Yeah. Taraqa in Arabic means knocked. You see, al-matraqa, something that you knock by, you see. So a-tariq is, we translate the knocking star. The knocking star is a unique star because it revolves around its own axis 30 times a second, radiating immense quantity of radio waves. And these radio waves can penetrate the universe.
These are new discoveries to the
The
sun.
new discovery, this was known in the later part of the 1970s, you see, the later part of the 20th century, 1980s.
Yes.
And for the Quran to spell that out 14 centuries ago is a living testimony to every rational person
I'd love
that
to,
this cannot be the work of man.
This is a very beautiful statement, and I'd love to end it to end the edition with this statement. Professor Zaghloul Naggar, I really thank you very much for being here with us in this edition. And also thank our guest Zabihullah and Abdul Rahman Ismail for being here with us. And with this, we come to the end of this edition of Quran and Science. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You all in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, blessings, and mercy be with you all. This verse is really unique in the Quran. Allah is saying, I do not even give an oath by the positioning of stars. And then he adds, وَإِنَّهُ لَقَسَمٌ لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عَظِيمٌ. And really, and verily, it is an adjuration, an oath, that's a great oath if you were only to know. Then when we read this, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the oath by the positioning of stars and not by stars themselves? Stars themselves are among the most magnificent creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because every star is a huge nuclear reactor in the sky, wherein a process called the nuclear fusion is taking place. By nuclear fusion, Allah is fusing light elements to produce heavier elements. So these...
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Professor Zaghloul, at the beginning, I'll just go for a verse, for a very short break for a verse, and then we'll return back to be explaining more to our viewers about this verse. So stay tuned and we'll be back.
فلا أقسم بمواقع النجوم وإنه لقسم لو تعلمون عظيم.
I swear by the setting of the stars, and this is a great oath if you but knew.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back. You're watching Quran and Science, and we were just discussing the sequence of stars. And the previous segment we mentioned that we'll be knowing more about the verse that you've just seen on the screen. I want first to ask Zabihullah, what do you get out of this ayah? فَلَا أُقْسِمُ. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praise for Allah, Lord of the worlds, and peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad, his companions, and all those who strive to follow in their footsteps. Welcome, my dear viewers, brothers and sisters, to another episode of Quran and Science. And in this edition, we'll be speaking about the main sequence of stars and also the temperature of these stars and the different types of stars. For this, we have with us a professor of geology at many Arab and international universities, Dr. and Professor Zaghloul Naggar. Hello and welcome. And we have with us also our guests to be interacting within this episode. We have Zabihullah Karim.
Thank
Assalamu
you.
alaikum. We have also Abdurrahman Ismail. بمواقع النجوم.
فلا أقسم بمواقع النجوم. In this verse, have we think about it, that God said that I don't need to swear on the location and the places of the stars.
Yes.
So
what does it give you? Does it give you the meaning of maybe power, the meaning of imagining something about the stars and the positions?
yes, and the position of stars, and in the same time, the power of Almighty Allah, who is the creator of all this universe.
Great. What about you, Abdurrahman?
As Zabihullah has mentioned, Allah does not need to swear to anyone. And after this ayah, we can notice that Allah said, this is a great oath. This tells us that the setting of the stars is really miraculous, and that there is something very special about them.
Yes. Okay, moving to you, Professor Zaghloul, the importance of the sequence and the positions of stars.
I begin by thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the great our factories producing all the stars, producing the needed elements for the existence of that universe. In the sun, for example, we get hydrogen fuses together to produce helium, and energy is released. Helium fuses together to produce lithium, and energy is released. And this energy gives the core of the sun 15 million degrees centigrade, and the outer surface of the sun 6,000 degrees centigrade. And the emanations from the sun 1 to 2 million degrees centigrade. And this energy is needed for the existence of that universe. Why then Allah did not give the oath by the stars themselves?
Yes, and not
by the
sequence
positioning
of
of the
position,
stars.
yes.
Before I indulge into that, I would like to emphasize the fact that negating the oath in Arabic is a way of overemphasizing it. When we say لا أقسم فلا أقسم بمواقع, I do not even give an oath. There's something beyond giving an oath, something much greater than giving an oath. So negating the oath